Hey there. Welcome to part four of my San Francisco Pen Show recap for 2025. If you haven't seen them yet, part one was about the show overall, the experience as a first timer. Part two was the first 10 pens that I purchased at the show. I wound up buying 20 total. So part two is pens 1 through 10. Part three is pens number 11 through 20. So between parts two and parts three, we get through all 20 pens. And this last part four, is going to be about the 10 different inks that I bought. This will go a little quicker, I think, because I did the swatching ahead of time so I can show you the inks rather than make you sit through me swatching them. I'm glad I did that because I had a little trouble with my dip pens. Don't know what was going on. I was using my centered here. I was using my Kakamori dip pens that I used in a previous video on the channel, and they weren't behaving the way that I wanted them to. Something a little off. Um, I don't know if I'll troubleshoot that another day. So instead of using those for all of the swatches, I pulled out the kind of more basic Euro Utsushi dip pen from Pilot. So this is I think it's a fine nib, fine Pilot nib. So this is a little simpler to use. It's not effective for doing the big swatching. So that's where the other tool comes in handy, and that's a dip. So yeah, so let me take you through the inks that we did, and I'll show you the swatches. So the first batch that I'll show you are the ones from the show itself, the show exclusives. So I tore up the boxes. I'm not going to sing the boxes, but I'll show you the boxes real quick. So the first one, these are all from Colorverse, which I don't have any other inks from Colorverse, so I wasn't sure how they behave. The first one is the San Francisco Fog. One of the things that I like about the label, at least, so this one shows what is that? The golden, no, that's the Bay Bridge. So here's the Bay Bridge, with Golden Gate Bridge in the background. Over here is the Salesforce Tower, which is where I work. So it's nice to see my office in the background there. And what is that? Next to it, is that the Transamerica Pyramid supposed to be? I think it's supposed to be the Transamerica Pyramid there. So Salesforce Tower, Transamerica Pyramid, Bay Bridge, Golden Gate Bridge. Yeah. So that's San Francisco Fog. The next one was the Golden Gate Bridge. So a different shade, reddish. Looks here like it's going to be red, orange, maybe an amber color. And then finally the San Francisco Bay. That looks like it's going to be, kind of a greenish, um, teal green, San Jose Sharks color. I don't know. So anyway, that's the boxes, the bottles themselves. Here's the fog. Here is the Golden Gate Bridge, and here is the San Francisco Bay. So those are the show exclusives. Those up here. And where are those swatches? So first we have the fog, which didn't look like it was coming through well at first, but as it dries, it settles into a nice a blue-gray. It's actually pretty similar to the writing pad here underneath. So it's a little more, it's really darker than I expected based on the label, which I like having it darker. Reminds me of the Andorelium whale shark gray, something like that maybe. So that's the Colorverse San Francisco Fog. Then we've got the Golden Gate Bridge, which was much more red than I expected than kind of an orange gold rust color. So much more red, and with a second coat, it came through a little deeper red, but I'm sure you can see that really well the sun is going to change here in my office. That was water, not ink. Name of an ink. Um, but yeah, this kind of reminds me of the San Francisco 49ers red. Don't know if that was intentional. And then the last one was the Colorverse San Francisco Bay. That definitely came through as more of a teal than a green. So, maybe a greenish teal, greenish blue teal. It definitely evokes the San Jose Sharks colors. So that one's definitely appropriate. Yeah, I think the fog was a little darker than I expected, and while I like it, it doesn't really remind me of fog anymore. Um, I expected it to be a really light color with calling it fog. Um, so it's much more this darker one at the top than one of the lower levels of the fog. So, which is fine. I actually like how it came out better than I did at first. But that was also, I think, on the second coat of the gray. I'm sorry, of the ink. So, I don't know. These are not the greatest inks to be blunt. Um, but they were the show exclusives, so I got them, and we'll play with them at some point. Let's see what is next. So the next one that I'll show you is from Yan Cheng Style. There are the swatches for those. More boxes. There's the boxes. There's the right ones. So first, so I mentioned during video part 3, Yanqing Style, which is a Taiwanese company. Henry was the wood crafter that I was talking to, and his mom. I don't actually get his mom's name. But anyway, the inks that I wound up buying from their table. First, we have Bellflower, which looked like a kind of a light purple, and then Traveling, both from Yanqing Style, which I thought would be a little more vibrant of a purple. And the actual, here's the bottles. So there's Bellflower and Traveling. I'll leave those there. And where are the swatches? Here we go. So first, the Bellflower. Um, Not really what I expected. So the blue came out a lot more in that one. There's a little bit of hint of the purple in there, and you can see it when I had a little bit of an incident with the drop of the ink, and then when I blotted it, it smeared quite a bit. So you can see a little more of the pink coming through in there, but not what I expected at all. Not a bad color, but just not kind of what was on the label. Um, and then the Traveling came through lighter than I expected. So almost a pinkish purple. It's not a color I'm really going to use. And this definitely does seem more like the style of the woman behind Yanqing Style. Again, I didn't catch her name. But not really, a little more pink than I think I'll want to use. So back to Yanqing Style. Um, their inks. I don't know who made their inks. Oh, and Limbs, it looks like. Okay, so that's probably who made the inks. Um, and that's just the branded ones from the vendor. Okay, so that's 5 done. What's next? Let's grab the ones from Amarillo. So Amarillo Stationery, Eric Gama, somebody that I had met through our Slack channel. And he's just, really nice guy he's coming out of Chicago. And he's got just, really fun character that he uses there. And so I grabbed a couple of his inks, which I don't think they have a name on the box. But the box is out of the way, and what we can see is one is Teal Waistband. Oh, I wrote that wrong on my swatch chart. I thought it said Wasteland. It's Waistband, which makes more sense. and then the other was blue suntan. So one that's a little more blue, one that's a little more teal. Let's see how they actually came through. Again, I wrote the name wrong here. So teal waistband, definitely much more green of a teal. If I compare that to the Colorverse San Francisco Bay, you'd see that I thought this one was more of a teal. That's the Bay, and uh, but Eric refers to this one as teal, so waistband, not wasteland. But that's much more green than I expected. Again, not bad, just not exactly what I expected. Um, and then the blue suntan. There's the suntan. Um, it's blue. It's light blue. It came through a little lighter on my swatch than it did on the box cover. I didn't necessarily lay down as much ink there than what that printed label looks like, and that's okay. Nothing wrong with that. That's the way it behaved. Um, so those are cool. What's next? What have I not done? We've got. I also got this from Eric, but it's not his. So this is the uh, Blue Corn Sailor and Tintarius collab. Um, I saw that. I was like, that's a cool. I like blue corn chips. Um, and so we'll do that one. And so it's a Sailor Ink. And that one I really like this one. So here's how it's swatched. It's much more of a deep purple. Um, and that's an ink I'll definitely be using quite a bit of, I think. Sailor inks are really well behaved, and that sure showed up there. I should check to see on the Amarillo. I don't know if I can tell who made the ink. It doesn't have it branded on there. I think where creativity is everywhere. So, again, cool message from Eric. But I don't know who he worked with for these inks, or if he made them himself. Don't know. It's not branded with anybody else, so if he's coordinated himself. Okay, and last two are also a little more purple. Um, well, so first was the Leonardo that I got with my Leonardo pen that I bought this weekend. So I didn't buy this ink, but I got it with the purchase of the very expensive pen. This is the Terrassi Reserva red wine ink. So that's all we go. It's the bottle. And when I was trying to pick out the ink that I would get with the purchase of the pen, the swatch that they were showing seemed like the best match. And, in hindsight, it doesn't really match the pen. The pen, that was the cappuccino pen. So I was more for brown, but they didn't really have any browns available. I've got other browns I can use, but definitely a red wine color, a Merlot or Syrah, some other inks that I have, some other vendors. So that would be a nice thing to use. Um, and last but not least, was the Waringal Alexander Dumas, the Black Tulip. And I thought that was going to be a really just a kind of a plain old black. Um, that's from their uh, writers series. So all of their inks are named after um, classic authors. It's $25 apparently. I got this through I buy this off of Dromgools. Um, so that's the Black Tulip. There's the bottle, and the ink is definitely a very, very dark purple. There's a little bit of glisten in there. A little bit of shimmer in there that I didn't notice until now. So as the sunlight changes in my office this afternoon, it's definitely coming through more. So that's coming through, and I don't know if I should put that into some of my fine nib pens, but it should be all right. I'm sure it'll be fine. That's coming through. On the camera, it's coming through much more purple than it is to my eye, just seeing it much more black. So that's interesting. It's an interesting effect. I really like the color, both on the swatch card and through the naked eye or with glasses, and what's showing up on camera. Very dark, uh, purple coming through a lot more than I thought. Again, it's interesting. It's coming through differently on the camera than it is through my eye. So anyway, that's the Wearing Gold Black Tulip. So those are my ink purchases. Let's see if we can bring them all together real quick. So there's the Wearing Gold. There's the red wine, blue corn. So these are inks that I'll got a lot of those kind of colors already that I'll definitely enjoy using. There's the, it's not on camera, blue suntan, teal waistband, Yanqing bellflower and traveling, Yanqing style, and finally the show colors, show inks, fog, Golden Gate Bridge, and San Francisco Bay. So thank you for, sorry for the camera getting knocked around a little bit there. Thank you for watching the last part of the San Francisco Pen Show 2025 recap series. As I said before, part one, recap of the whole show. Part two, pens 1 through 10. Part three, pens 11 through 20. And finally, part four here on inks. So that'll do it for the recap. I will come back and feature videos with doing a more of a deep dive on some of the individual pens that I bought and doing writing samples and seeing how those go. And I will also do something on the 4 different custom drawings that I did. 5 if we include the Monarch, 6 if we add in the journal on it that I bought. So we'll talk about those in a future video. And that'll do it. So thank you for watching. Please hit the like button. Please hit the subscribe button. Share these videos with your friends. Go back and watch the first 3 parts of the series and check out the other videos that I have on my channel. And there's going to be more coming. And I hope you enjoyed it and hope you have a great day.